Good morning and welcome to our new episode of the international footprint for our community called Perla. And welcome to our guest, Ellie. Good morning, Ellie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ellie. Can you tell us your last name? Because for me, it's really hard to spell it, please.
Okay, so it's Hadjilucas.
Hadjilucas. So thanks for this because sometimes I've tried, but always with a mistake. So thanks a lot.
Okay.
Ellie today, she's from Cyprus, but today is in Brussels, where she both work there and there, half and half, I would say. So today we are talking about her company, her career. She's a really well-known nutritionist, especially maybe in the sportive environment, but she will tell us more about this. And then a few years ago, she has decided to launch her company called Nutricomms Limited. And now she's both a consultancy and also nutritionist. So Ellie, good morning again. Let's
Thank you
start.
for the invitation. And I hope you find today's discussion useful.
Absolutely. We are sure that it will be knowing you a bit because we met sometimes ago through the Cherry Bread Foundation. So it was really a pleasure to see you again and to meet you again, Ellie. So let's start our conversation. Before launching your company, can you tell us a little bit more about what you were doing and why you have decided to become an entrepreneur?
Okay, so basically I studied human nutrition as my bachelor, and then I did a master's in public health nutrition, followed by a postgraduate diploma in sports nutrition from the International Olympic Committee. I started my first job as a nutrition intern, I would say, at the Coca Cola company in London. And I really enjoyed it because I could see the other side of nutrition. I mean, when you talk about nutrition, most people think about weight loss and seeing patients or at a hospital setting if you're a dietitian. So they don't think about industry. So my first work was with industry. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I learned a lot of things, and slowly I got a permanent position. Worked in London for another 3 years, and then moved to the headquarters of the Coca-Cola company in Europe, in Brussels, where I stayed for almost total 10 years, having different positions. Nutrition manager for Europe, nutrition communications manager, and sports manager looking after sports nutrition, and science manager looking after Powerade, and have worked with the Olympics in London, but also the Winter Olympics in Turin. So I really enjoyed my time in the company. I felt that the Coca-Cola is a big university. But after 10 years, I felt also, because I had to travel a lot with my job, I felt that there was a time that I needed a change for two reasons. Mainly for the fact that I was traveling a lot and I wanted to decrease a bit the travel, and also the career path that I wanted to move, which was more into nutrition communications, which is what I do today, was something that the company wanted me to move more to Atlanta, to more a corporate role and more deep dive into science. And that was something that I didn't aspire to at that time. So I felt that the decision would be to leave and either find somewhere the role that I was looking for, or set up my own company. So it was these two choices. After looking and having different interviews with other companies, I saw that the traveling would not be reduced, it would more increase. And that was something that I wanted in my personal life to change, but also have a better work-life balance, because I mean, it's what, almost 9 years now. So I was in an age where I felt that although I don't have kids and I haven't started my own family, I just felt that I wanted to have a better life balance. and traveling was not something that was helping. So then I took the decision to start my own company because I felt I could control things the way I wanted. And that's how I created Nutricomms based out of Cyprus initially.
So thanks for sharing your path, Ellie. One question related to what you have said just now. You said that you also decided to create your company because you wanted to control more in your life. Has it become true?
A bit, but it's always a bit, I mean, you own your own company also. It's not always like that. I try as much as I can. Travel has reduced a bit, but not a lot. But I am trying to do my best. I mean, obviously, I have to be very strict with myself. So not working long hours during the week, not looking at your emails when you're off. So it's more about discipline, I would say.
Okay, so very interesting. And also one thing you said that Coca Cola has been like a university for you. And my question is, what has been the most difficult change in the sense of mindset? Because before you were a manager and then you became an entrepreneur. So can you explain us a little bit more about your change of mindset, if it has been there?
Okay, so I would say the first thing is that from going from a company where you work for someone else and you don't have to think about some stuff because they are taking care of themselves by their own or someone else. I would say also like budget, how you spend your money, trying to make sure that you have a good business plan where clients are coming in, or at times when things are happening, like for example, COVID, where clients and projects stopped. So, the flow of income and revenue is not continuous. So I would say the biggest thing would be that, because if you work for a company, day in, day out, month per month, your salary is coming in.
There.
So when you're working as an entrepreneur, it depends on you, but it might happen that you have a set salary, and then there were times where I had to decrease my salary to make sure that the company was working okay. There were times where I had doubts also, why did I do this, or why am I doing this? Especially, as I said, during difficult times like COVID, where I had projects lined up and COVID hit and this project stopped and they never happen afterwards, or they happen after 4 years. So when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be very agile, I would say. So you have to be able to adapt to the situations, but at the same time, you have to be optimistic and positive. So I work with clients on project basis, and also with someone that I have like on a monthly basis. So there are times that, if a project is stopped or if a project is finished, you definitely need to do a pre-work to get other clients coming in so that you don't have a big gap of instability, I would say, from an income side of things, because I would say that would be the most difficult part from me, at least. And also to be resourceful, to find new ways that you can have a stable income. So, for example, now we're thinking on the website, we've only launched our website. It took a while. We launched it last December, to be honest, although we had been in business for 5-6 years already. And now we're kind of thinking about having webinars on the website where people can pay, or maybe a subscription fee that they can pay to get content. So that would then also make sure that we have a more, you know, a more stable income and people. So you need to always be resourceful, and of course, always try to have a positive outlook.
So this positive attitude that is really important for an entrepreneur. Somebody here in Italy has defined company like a roller coaster because it goes really ups and downs. So you really have to be agile, as you said. So my question is, do you have a method, or how do you train your positivity? I mean, your inner side, if you have
one. In general, I'm a positive person. Okay, my boyfriend sometimes says, "Oh, you see this rainbow." In general, I'm a positive person. I try to see the positive side of things rather than the negative. I've always been like that. Um, Possibly from different, you know, different situations in my life, etc. But I always try to see the positive side. Also, I think it comes also from my parents. My mom has always been the positive one. My dad was always the negative one in the family, if I can say that, always thinking of the worst scenario. And I try not to think like that. The other thing I do is that through mentoring, like what we did together when we did the Sherry Blair and you were my mentor. And then from that, I've learned some techniques. Also, I have a coach that I talk to, and I do some coaching, and that helps a lot of times to bounce back your thoughts and tell them to someone who is impartial, and then hear them back. So it's not about advising you what to do, but it's more about to reflect on what you're thinking or how you're feeling, and then put it back. So that I would say for me would be keeping a positive attitude even in the worst case scenario, and then also doing coaching. That helps.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that maybe also how do you eat sometimes it's also very important, no, for the mindset well-being. So, but we will talk about this later. So Ellie, you have also said that you sometimes have thought, why do I do this? So my question is, what have been the most difficult times, if it happens, and also, but also the best one, in the sense that you said, yes, this is my path.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, I think the most difficult time was in the COVID, where I felt I was a bit like, it was also at the beginning of my company. I mean, COVID hit 2019. I had initiated my company in 2015, 16. So it was early years. And it was when I was actually, you know, getting things together, having a good flow, starting to having a good flow of customers, etc. So when it hit, yeah, as I mentioned before, it was not good, because I felt like although I had projects coming in, the revenue went very low. Customers, because it was unknown for them, they stopped doing any innovation. So I felt like I had no work there for some months. So it was difficult. I mean, not to the extent where I was considering closing, but to the extent where I felt, was this a bad step? Was this not a good step? Should I have stayed working for a big company and not actually do this? So I think that was the most difficult time. And I can tell you that since then, there have been some more difficult times, not to that extent, but I kind of now know. So I will have if there are these type of times, yes, I will be a bit upset and say, okay, we know this is the situation. Let's recuperate. Let's, okay, try to reconvene, think what is the approach. and let's move forward. The best time I would say was after COVID, I would say, when things started to pick up, of course. I had a lot of projects coming in. I had new projects coming in, being approached, a lot of things done actually via Zoom because people learn a new way of working. They didn't need to travel. So I had a lot of projects from companies, from multinational companies that were willing, to do trainings for their employees, to talk about marketing products, etc., but without needing to travel. So at the same time, COVID opened doors to being able to consult and work on projects without having to be live in the different countries. So I would say that was one of the best moments because projects started to flow in. I had the chance to work on projects like a days, other projects that had to do globally with like the Nutri-Score that some of you may be familiar. So all these type of things. And also I would say another best time would be last year, at the end of last year, where we launched our website, we launched our Instagram, we launched our LinkedIn. For the first time, my company could be a sponsor at a nutrition congress, so the Greek Hellenic, the Hellenic Nutrition and Dietetic Association Society, where we also launched like a desktop calendar for people to take away. So, being able to also spend money from the company to do more visibility about the brand, about the company, and also bring all the elements together for the website and the social media, I would say that was the biggest, best time.
Yeah. Congratulations. I know that it's hard. So very good from you, Ellie. Can you tell us a little bit more what Nutricomms does? In the sense, what are the usual typical projects, if there are typical ones, that you can share with us?
Okay, so in a nutshell, Nutricomms it works a bit like an agency, I would say, but focusing more on nutrition, communication, and nutrition advice. So we focus on 4 pillars in terms of services. So the biggest one is nutrition communication. So how we can support a product, a brand, but also a company on their nutrition communication. So if someone is launching a product and wants to talk about it, more from an advocacy way. So is it webinars? Do they want to do some stuff on social media? Is it articles? Depending on also their audience. So working with them to put together, I would say, a 360 type of communication plan that would be under the nutrition communications pillar, or infographics, stuff like that. Then the second part is advocacy, stakeholder mapping. So working with a company to identify their stakeholders. Again, if it's a company or if it's a brand. So who are your stakeholders from a health and wellness point of view? So if you're talking, for example, for Powerade, which is a sports drink, it would be like the sports scientists, sports nutritionists, athletes, of course, but also like coaches and personal trainers, etc. And then the end would be the consumer. So kind of mapping that and then thinking, what do they want to know? How do you communicate to the different stakeholders so we can guide them on what they would like to know based on your brands, based on your ingredients, on the benefits of your products, and then work with them to see how you can get to them. Is it through webinars? Is it through conferences? Depending, because each, of course, stakeholder group has different interests. So you're not going to talk in the same way to a sports nutritionist and to a consumer or to an athlete. Then the third pillar is new product development and innovation. So supporting companies on new products. So working with them in identifying ingredients, the trends, like current nutrition trends, like for example, now a huge trend that is in the last 2 or 3 years and will continue is plant-based. Another trend is protein, which started almost 5 years ago and is continuing like crazy. So identifying different trends for my clients, always on nutrition, looking also at the different audiences like Gen Z versus millennials or baby boomers, like who is your audience in terms of your product, who is your end consumer. And then working with them to build the product. So what claims do you want? What nutrition claims like low fat, high protein? Do you need any health claims in order to get them? How do you go about it? And then, of course, helping them, helping their R&D department to build the product, and then what to say on the product and how to communicate it from a regulation standpoint. So what is on the pack, and also what can you say on social media, on an advertisement, etc., etc. And then the last one is risk management. So if a company wants to, has a mistake on their label, or there is an issue with the product, and then to help them mitigate that and take action on how to avoid any issues that there might be coming their way from a government side or from a competitor side. Also, I should mention that under the new product development, I also help companies to reformulate their products. So currently, there is a long debate about high fat, high sugar products, high salt products. So you see the Nutri-Score, for example, also. So you see a lot of companies wanting to reformulate their products to make them healthier, to make them better. So I also support companies with that. So if they have an existing product, to discuss how they can make it better, what they need to reduce, what they need to increase, etc., so that they make a healthier product for the consumers.
Very interesting. So it's really 360 degrees your services. And but what are your typical customers, in the sense they are big or small, medium business?
Is both. So from a European side, I would say is mainly multinationals like the Coca Cola, Compass, which is a catering service. I had Shell, for example, where I was doing some stuff on hydration for driving. So it varies. And also small, medium companies, which could be, that is mainly happened in Cyprus. So for example, I could get a company like the biggest dairy producer in Cyprus, who is a client of mine, but then I could also get, a small company that makes snacks, for example, nuts, or supermarkets, chains, olive oil companies. I have a couple organic honey companies. Those are small, medium. So a variety of customers depending on their need.
Very interesting, because here in Italy we have plenty of small, medium business in the agriculture, I would say, market, and your service can be very useful in some way. So let's see. Another question that I really want to ask you is a quite easy one, in the sense you are also a nutritionist apart from an entrepreneur, and there are some tips that we can follow, but very simple one, to lead a healthier and healthier life, but with not sacrifice. Just to have some pillars that we can follow, very simple ones, and that's it, without too much complication.
Okay. I would say first is get enough sleep. I think that's in the reason I don't know, in the recent research is coming up a lot. Like sleep, we underestimate a lot, and it has to do with both the nutrition, the overall health, but also brain health, mental health. So it's sleep is one, and try to get 8 hours at least, etc. And good quality sleep. That's another thing. I would say try to keep hydrated. So I would say there is no golden rule about 2 liters or so. I know that people say, oh, yeah, 2 liters of water. It could be anything, any liquid. It could be coffee, it could be tea. They all contribute. It could be, your yogurt. Yogurt has like 80% water. So everything contributes. So as long as within your day, you have those 2.5 liters, especially now in the summer, I would say trying to, in general, be hydrated. I mean, the best indicator is, I'm sorry to say, but is your urine color. So if your urine color is yellow, it means you need more fluids. If your urine color is...
What color has to have the urine? I mean,
they have to be a bit whitish. I mean,
transparent.
A bit like diluted lemonade, if I can say that. So pale, not clear, but a bit pale. So if it's a bit like apple juice color, it means you're dehydrated. You need to drink more fluids. So so hydration, try to eat at least 5 or even 7 if you can portions of fruit and vegetables a day. The latest studies mention 7. So especially, living in Italy and now in the summer, you have so many fruits and vegetables. So I think that would be easy but to accomplish, but if you measure them, you will see that it's difficult. Not everybody gets even the 5. So saying 7 in order to prevent cancer and all this stuff, it's a huge step, but at least start with the 5. And if you can get the 7, the 7. And portion means, for example, 1 banana is 1 portion, an avocado is 2 portions, a small bowl of salad is 1 portion, then the fruits like nectarine, peaches, whatever, that's 1 portion. And so on. Like 10 strawberries is 1 portion, 10 or 15 grapes, etc. So things like that. And then I would say try to, when you have your plate, try half of your plate to be salad, the rest to be protein, and the rest carbohydrates, but have salad, and then the other 2 quarters, your pasta or your grains, whatever, so your carbohydrates and your protein. And always try, when you put your portions, to not to fill your plate too much, but to try to have your plate, the plate, sometimes they have a rim, so that the food is within that rim, not to overeat. And the last tip would be to stop eating when you're 70% full. Don't wait until you're 90% full. So I would say that you can have your dessert, but it's best if you share it. So if you're out in a restaurant or at home, it's always better to share the dessert. Then it means less calories, but you can still eat it. So these are some, easy tips. It's not a rocket science, and it's not a magic bullet nutrition. It's just, you need to be a bit mindful of your calories, and always, I would say, put quality of products versus quantity. So if you buy locally, if you buy bio, it's always best, I would say, for our planet, but also for your health. But always consider, eating smaller portion of a really good, I don't know, chocolate bar compared to eating the whole bar of something cheaper. So always try to think also a bit about quality of ingredients that you're eating. It matters a lot.
Absolutely, quality versus quantity, I would say, for anything, not only for food. I completely agree. What about timing at night? Because here we have different path ideas that you should eat within a certain time. What is your suggestion related to this?
Well, there is some research that says that it's best if you eat until, 8 o'clock or so. I know that also me coming from the Mediterranean, like in Greece, for example, especially in the summer, people will eat at 10 in the evening, 11 in the evening. It depends, I would say, on your lifestyle. It's not a rule that you should stop eating at a certain time. I think it depends on your lifestyle. It depends on how active you are. I mean, I was reading the other day a new research that was saying that our metabolism doesn't get slower as we age, which is something we always used to say, as you age, your metabolism is slower, therefore you lose weight. It's harder for you to lose weight. And apparently the new science says that no, it doesn't get slower. It has to do with your muscle mass. So if you have more muscle, your metabolism will work faster or will maintain its rhythm. If you have more weight, it will slow down, which is very
Very
normal.
interesting. Very interesting.
So I would say that it depends on your lifestyle. And obviously, I mean, the time you wake up and everything, as a fact, what I would suggest is that try to keep 8 to 3 meals, 3 main meals a day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can choose dinner or lunch to be slightly lighter if you decide. And also try to have 2 snacks in between. So I would say as a golden rule, have 5 meals, 3 main, 2 snacks, and keep it to that, because then that will help your metabolism to keep a normal rhythm. You won't get your up and down in your glucose. So staying for many hours without food and then going to eat dinner at 11 and you had your last meal at, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon or 2, and then you decide to go to dinner at 9, and in between you hadn't eaten anything. That's the worst thing, because you're most likely you're going to overeat and go for a bigger portion at 9 o'clock, which is not ideal. But of course, okay, then if you're going to walk an hour until you sleep, it could work. But still, I would say it's good to keep a bit consistency if you can with your meals, and always try to get some exercise in, even if it's like half an hour walking. I mean, 10, 20
Okay.
minutes swimming. Yeah, try to do that. That also helps. I mean, especially as we age, physical activity becomes more and more and more important.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Again, consistency is really a key word for everything, I would say. So, Ellie, we are arriving at our end, but before closing, I would like to ask the 2 last questions. The first one is, what are your near future projects? And the second one is, if somebody would like to start a career like yours, what are your suggestions?
Okay, so my projects in the coming months, I would say, is the fact that we have now on our website since January a newsletter that people can subscribe. And then they get a monthly newsletter with different news, etc., on nutrition and that are of interest that we choose. So it has some of the stuff we discussed. And also the plan is to slowly launch, possibly end of this year, beginning of the next, like a subscription button for people where we will host webinars. So people can subscribe or they can pay per webinar. We will see how we will do that. But basically, we would like to have a webinar with an expert every month that will discuss it. I'm sorry, excuse me. That will discuss a hot topic that we believe is of interest for people to know more about. So that would be the next upcoming project that I could share for everybody if they would be interested. It will always be in English, so keep that in mind. And then in terms of someone who would like to start a career like me, I would say of course, I mean, you can study nutrition as a first degree. I would say is not necessary to continue with nutrition as your master, etc. I mean, I have done so, but in parallel, I was doing different courses. So I did a course in marketing communications, etc. So I would say be open. You don't necessarily need to follow an academic career. I didn't do that. And I would say I consciously didn't do that because I didn't want to go into academia. I wanted to go into communications and into more marketing, I would say. So definitely you can combine two skills. In my case, at some point, my two worlds collided. I couldn't do that in the company that I was currently in, so I decided to do it on my own. But in the Coca Cola that I was previously, I had the opportunity to work with the different teams, with the marketing team. That's why I also tried to do in parallel the different courses. So you can combine skills, but definitely be open to different courses, to different skills. If you have a creative side like myself, you can see how you can bring and combine all those skills together, and definitely be open to learn, I would say. The more open you are to learn different things, the skills that you may think, okay, well, why should I do that? No, I'm from my side that every year, if not every year, every other year, I try to do a new course, whether it's a mentoring program, whether it's a leadership course or something. So I try to always, besides keeping updated with conferences for the nutrition stuff, I always try to build and enhance my skills in different areas. So I would say be open. You know, things will not always be clear from the beginning. It wasn't for me. I knew what I didn't want to do. So when I went and I studied nutrition, I knew I didn't want to go back to Cyprus and start an office to give nutrition advice for people to lose weight. I loved working with athletes, as I still do from time to time, but that's about it. I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing, and how everybody else, when you say nutritionist or dietitian, that's all they think about. So I didn't know exactly at the age of 20 what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't. So that's a starting point, I would say. At least if you know what you don't want to do, then you can focus on what you want to do. And then slowly the path will evolve. Yeah.
Appear. So Ellie, really, you have been of a great inspiration for all of us today. And usually I close the interview with some keywords that arrives to me that I wanted to share. And I was writing down while you were speaking. So positivity, agile, adapting, consistency, lifelong learning, curiosity. So I believe that you have connected all these parts that are parts of an entrepreneur, because within our community there are many entrepreneurs and others who want to become entrepreneurs. So what Ellie has shared with us is really of a great value, because she shared, apart from the technical side that cannot be shared here, the inner part, that is one that really creates the entrepreneur, the person itself. So thanks a lot for your testimony, your time to be here, and we really wish you all the best, and also to see you soon lively in the near future, Ellie.
For sure. Thank you so much, Elena, for having me today. I wish everybody a good summer. since the August month. And I hope you find today's discussion useful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ellie. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Bye.